Now let's have a look at the back and see. Yeah, I think it looks alright. Nothing looks too terribly lopsided. Maybe a little bit there. We will see, we will see. I don't know. Right here, my hair is like really straight. Just like right here, it's really straight. And over here it's wavy. So it takes the, anyway. Paint the face. I already got some moisturizers on my face. Now I'm gonna cover up my bags. Anyway. Went to it's a young museum. I'm working on this series. Of course, it's Lent. I read my scriptures yesterday. I probably shouldn't talk too much about what I'm working on for Lent, right? I'm not wearing any sackcloth. But anyway, I went to the museum. It's such a strange experience. You know, for me, a museum is like going to church. And not like it is going to church. You know, for me, going to the museum is going to church. Because art is a spiritual endeavor. It is an expression of the human spirit as gifted by the great divinity of all that ever has been, ever shall be, and is, right? As it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be. World without end, amen. People are... Ooh, I need another curl right there. I like getting dressed up and going to the museum. Then I went and there's a restaurant that has a nice view that I found recently that I like to sit at. And it's, you know, it's overpriced. It's down on Fisherman's Wharf. Because the food, you know, the food's not bad, but it's not great. It's really not that much better than diner food. And they have a decent bar or whatever, but the view is really, really nice. So I like going there. And I went there and I ordered a drink and cheese sticks, a bar order of 4 cheese sticks, and steamed vegetables. And I asked the waitress, I'm like, these steamed vegetables, do they have meat in them, bacon or seafood or anything? And she's like, oh, no, they're just steamed vegetables. Well, I know that those vegetables, when they came, I could taste that they'd been steamed probably in shellfish stock. It tasted like shrimp shells. And, you know, it did make me sick later on, you know. It made me sick. I got a rash. It was awful. Some people are fatally allergic to shellfish or seafood. So it's just, you know, really irritating. Really, 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 really irritating. Especially since I asked. People are... Oh, and I did. I had a rash all down my neck and across my chest that night. Had a headache. Glad I didn't get a migraine. People are rude. I mean, that's just rude. Oh, my paintings. Got 2 done already. We'll see, I got 5. I got 5 on deck. 5 on deck. And I should have, well, I will have a total of 23 canvases by the end of the season. It's really interesting to see, you know, Mercury retrograde falls at the end. I think it's Holy Week, Mercury retrograde. So it'll be interesting to see how the energy is while doing the work. at that time. You know, I think there's only a few things that are going to be really, really helpful in the next few years for Americans in particular. And that is planting home gardens, because we're going to need them, and ending this petty bullshit of trying to manipulate other people's wills. Because as far as I'm concerned, as a Christian, there's only one will, and that's the will of God that matters, you know. And if you are trying to impose your interpretation of God, of what God's will is, on somebody else, that's your will. That's, you know, people are silly. People are silly. I read this article yesterday talking about how a recent study has concluded that people think that people who choose not to have children, couples that choose not to have children, are immoral. This is such a funny argument to me, and it comes from years and years and years and years and years of teachings, of religious teachings, not necessarily spiritual teachings, but of religious teachings. And, you know, we're looking at issues of food shortages or unethical or unsustainable food production, and resource allocation and use. What is truly immoral? What is more immoral? Choosing not to have a child, or insisting on having a child even though you can't afford it, right? You're saying, oh, this is crossing the line of ethics. That's morals and ethics. And I think in order for something to truly be moral, it must also be ethical. I don't believe that in order for something to be ethical, it must be moral. I don't believe that those two things, I don't think it goes both ways. But I think in order for something to be moral, it must also be ethical. And so if you are having a child when you know you can't afford one, and then expect other people to pay for services for this child because you hold a religious belief, that is immoral. That is immoral. And then to pass judgment on somebody else who hasn't, right? You know, there's like this idea that, and then if you are a person who chooses not to have children, my husband and I choose not to have children. And we take a lot of flack for it, or we have taken a lot of flack for it in the past. There's also other expectations, like, oh, if you don't have kids, then that means you must want to give everything to everybody else. Well, I have never been against helping my fellow human being. As a matter of fact, I've always done a lot of donating and a lot of giving of my time, to the point that I did everything for free and just gave away. And you know what happens? People don't appreciate it, right? They expect it. They think you owe it to them. And that's just, and then they think they can tell you what you owe them, what you're going to give them. And you know, I think it's why people feel entitled to take my ideas and things, and or other business stuff that art and things that I've worked on. Because they're like, oh, well, I pushed out a kid, or I have kids, so that means that I'm more entitled to your resources or your intellectual property or whatever you've created because of that. No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to take responsibility for your choices in life, right? And just as I'm not expecting you to take responsibility for my choices in life, people need to take responsibility for their own choices, right? I don't know. It's just, I think it's a corrupt way of thinking. I mean, anytime anyone passes judgment on someone else, you know, it's totally acceptable for somebody to diss a person who doesn't have kids, right? It's women have nobody has a problem with that. They would say, oh, her life is so tragic because she just had a baby, she would know the joy, and then she could be a real woman. This other argument that you can't be a woman unless you've had a kid. Please. Number one, what does that say to adoptive parents? And number two, what does that say to transgender women? And then, we won't even go there, but it's silliness. It's all just silliness. I enjoy not having children. I enjoy not having to worry about that. And I don't think it makes me immoral to just not want to be bothered. I worry about everybody's stuff anyway. I don't need to have one of my own. I don't want to have one of my own. And anybody who judges me, I'm sorry, it's just your own, it's your own desire for somebody else to be miserable with you, because nobody likes to admit that they don't like being a parent. It's okay. You don't have to like being a parent. And you know what? You also don't have to be a parent. Oh my gosh, light bulb over the head. You don't have to do it. I don't want to be bothered with it. So much of my youth was taken up with childcare of other people's kids. No, thank you. No, thank you at all. And I don't have to pay for them. Silliness, absolute silliness. Oh well. Moral. That comes down to this interpretation of the Bible, saying that you're supposed to have children. Spiritual fruit is every bit as important or equal to having fruit of your loins. Shit. I'm gonna stick to fruit of the loom. Just because you don't understand, people with kids, just because you don't understand the work I do, doesn't mean you get to judge me. That is immoral. Your judgment of me is immoral. That is immoral. I'm not contributing to the too many mouths to feed problem. Nope. Not gonna do it. Anyway, have a good one.